Hello, welcome to Season 1, Episode 4 of OCD Geeks. I'm your host Chris.
And I'm your co-host, Jack.
So, what are you up to, Jack? I can't believe we are already recording our first episode.
Indeed, we are rolling at full speed, and the more we produce, the more we enjoy doing it. How are you doing, Chris?
Ups and downs as always. Talking about apps, I'm glad to announce that from this week our YouTube channel and blog are up and running. So, if you are enjoying our show, please go there and subscribe or leave us a comment. You're together with us in creating this community. We are glad for your support.
We truly appreciate it. By the way, what's the topic for today?
Since we both are polyglot, let's talk about language learning, shall we?
Sounds good to me, Chris. So, how did you get into it?
Well, in elementary school, I started to learn a bit of English and German. Unfortunately, the study of the latter lasted for only a semester. Later in middle school, I began learning French. Long story short, I've kept this combo of English, French in high school and university as well. I'm sure you can relate to this system too, Jack. Besides that, I was able to improve my skills thanks to summer abroad experiences and a lot of self-study. Actually, we met in Scotland way back in 2006 as part of the same group of students. I still remember you were joking with me about the fact you were in the advanced class while I was in the intermediate one or ish.
I remember those times. It was a lot of fun. I'll keep those great days with me forever. Our minds were open and eager for knowledge. We were young, and despite our jokes, we were always supporting each other. We practiced languages as well as music. In Scotland, we became acquainted with local tradition, golf, and folk music. When I was in high school, I realized I was quite good at Latin and ancient Greek, and that's where my passion for languages began. Apart from French and English, what about your love for Japanese culture?
Of course. When I was about 5 or 6 years old, I started to watch Japanese animation broadcasted by local television. It was the early 90s back then. I didn't have the internet. YouTube, Netflix, and all the other streaming services didn't exist. It was a completely different world compared to our current days. I'm sure listeners from our generation or older totally remember that time. Maybe with a bit of nostalgic feeling too. Back to animation, my favorite shows were Dragon Ball, Ranma, and Sanpei. From that time on, I decided that my goal would be to master Japanese language. I remember I was fascinated by the writing system, completely different from our Latin alphabet. Around that time, my parents bought me my first Japanese textbook. Needless to say, it was way too challenging for an 8-year-old kid. So, my dream of learning this mysterious language remained locked up until my university years. During that period, I enrolled in a Japanese course organized by a local cultural association. Next step was attending a university class for a full academic year during my studies in Toronto. What about you, Jack? Could you tell our listener about your passion for the Russian language?
Well, it started about the time I was in high school. I was very keen on literature as a whole, but I decided to focus especially on classic books. Almost at the same time, I got a precious gift from an old friend, Crime and Punishment by Fyodor Dostoevsky. It's one of those books that can touch your soul, a book about humanity and loss that I highly recommend to everyone. As soon as I devoured the last page, I already wanted to start learning the Russian language in order to discover more about a completely different world and culture. It was very tough, because that's the most difficult language I've ever encountered. But you have all to gain from such a challenge.
I'm sure you did your best to reach such a level of knowledge. Learning a new language might sound like a lot of hard work, but it's totally worth it. In my experience, I was able to meet so many people from different cultures and backgrounds. Recently, I started to learn a bit of Korean. I dedicate just a few minutes, but I do it constantly, every single day. That's a much better approach compared to studying a ton during one session and then skipping many days altogether.
I am afraid I start forgetting all I know if I don't practice for a long time. Wow, Korean is a very impressive choice. Good luck to you.
Thanks, Jack. I will tell you about my updates in this subject.
Guys, as Chris said, one of the secrets for keeping yourself updated with languages, mastering one, or reaching fluency is constantly focusing on your improvement day by day. It shouldn't be an incredible effort, just a few minutes in your daily routine, and it will make all the difference in the world. Never give up, and if you ever feel like forgetting words or having the memory of a red fish, well, keep working hard.
I completely agree with you. And I'm afraid that's all for today. Feel free to reach us at cris.ocdgeeks@gmail.com and jack.ocdgeeks@gmail.com. If you like us to dive deeper into this topic, let us know. You're welcome to visit our blog at www.ocdgeeks.blogspot.com or simply follow us on YouTube and Instagram on our pages OCD Geeks. Your support helps a lot to let the world know about the podcast. So, until next time, let them talk, our freaks.
We stay tuned on OCD Geeks.